Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. I'll do this email reading to Judge Campbell, and then go for a run, and then take care of the video when I get back. If you remember yesterday, there was reported that I then also reported about the LDS Church getting hacked by this Russian operation, identifying that it was a Mormon who runs the company of which Russia used to hack. And so this is getting reported to the judge in the case. As I've already checked, she still hasn't responded. As the plaintiff sees that Your Honor still refuses to act, the plaintiff has opportunity to expose the latest act of treason by the defendant. All over the national news is reporting of Russia hacking the federal government and Fortune 500 companies, utilizing a cybersecurity company, SolarWinds, as the medium for their hack. That reporting says has been lying dormant since the spring. And then I put the capture segment that I put in my video. The scope of Russian hack becomes clearer. The plaintiff has been filing his complaints as RICO, and this complaint specifically as RICO sedition. As a Mormon, I know how the defendant's organization works, but the feds do not, especially since the national executive fired those with the expertise to investigate. With a criminal organization, the leadership remains separate. Remains separate from directly committing crimes, and instead have their soldiers and associates do the criminal work. Thus why RICO law was established. The plaintiff has presented evidence that Russia is connected with the plaintiff's lawsuits against the defendant. And I post that infamous snapshot of Russia sites covering my previous lawsuit. The plaintiff has informed this court about the defendant's dealings with Russia to try to obtain a temple in Moscow. The director of SolarWinds software. The director of SolarWinds software development is right here in Salt Lake City, and he's a soldier for the defendant, as the defendant is listed as one of his interests on LinkedIn. And so I put Stephen Colquette from the video I did yesterday. This is how a criminal organization commits an act of treason to overthrow the United States. When the defendant made a deal with Russia in trying to get a Moscow temple, Russia always demands the other party do them a favor, though. The defendant has indeed been doing Russia's bidding as they attempt to cover it up in public. It is Russia who wants to destroy the United States, and thus the national executive and the defendant have caused the spread and escalation of the coronavirus, and the defendant refuses to shut the organization down to save lives, as Sunday Church continuously is reported as a super spreader. So the defendant sends mixed messages when they refuse to shut down operations, but order Mormons to wear masks, though it was reported only through the defendant's Deseret News. And I put the link of when that 70 gave the order from the church. And even then, through a member of the 70, which office doesn't carry enough weight for Mormons to obey. And so Mormons trust their prophets and go to church, rather than stay home and stay safe, as Governor Herbert and Cox play their role by not quarantining all who test positive, only quarantining those who test positive with emergency symptoms. According to the reported stats as of yesterday, 237,787 Utahns. I need to put those stats pictures in. Let me take care of that here quick. It was 15th. Where are you? Soft as the sea breeze, yet strong as the sea. Alrighty. According to the reported stats as of yesterday, 237,787 Utahns have to date been tested positive. According to Johns Hopkins stats as of yesterday, I need to put that one in too. According to Johns Hopkins stats as of yesterday, 1,818,000. Whoops, that's not correct. It's not. Oh, yeah, it is actually. I think. Yeah, no, that's incorrect. There's no extra 8 in there. 181,000 Utahns have to date been recovered. I don't think I need been. To date, have to date recovered. Okay. And there are 1,077 who have died, though the plaintiff has caught the reporting on the 6th of December, not counting the elderly stats with the main stats. But doesn't matter for this figure. This means that there are about 55,000 Utahns who were not hospitalized nor quarantined and instead used to infect the populace to spread and escalate the virus. And the defendant facilitates that spread and escalation by keeping church open for those 55,000 Utahns to attend. Then the two pictures. The plaintiff has pointed out how the defendant got Utah taxpayers to pay the bribe price for the defendant to obtain a temple in China. It wasn't the defendant who gave China the unnecessary free PPE. The defendant used another company who had the PPE, which a soldier of the defendant owned. The plaintiff reported yesterday about the defendant's first presidency statement absolving the national executive. They're acknowledging Biden as the new president was just a smokescreen. So here we have a Salt Lake-based cybersecurity company whose director is a soldier for the defendant, whose software is hacked by Russia to then hack the United States government and Fortune 500 companies, even probably the defendant themselves, as the devil does not support his own, and you don't do business with Russia, as they will corrupt you with compromat to extort you to do their bidding, or they will collect on the debt owed to them. The plaintiff has informed the court that Russia paid $32 billion through the defendant's newly formed LLC companies in 2018, but then Russia Mormon membership disappeared since the 2018 reporting. And I link to the site. If no one knew that there were Mormons in Russia, and that this year the defendant assigned 2 new mission presidents to Russia, people would question the need for a temple to have been announced in Russia. And then I put the picture of the $32 billion as reported by Fox 13 News Utah. Russia's choice for governor was rejected. John Huntsman Jr. and missionaries have been arrested in Russia, as it appears the defendant is refusing to fully do Russia's bidding, but Russia still finds the defendant useful, as with this cyber attack. And lest we forget, Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes. Who committed sedition by adding Utah to the Texas lawsuit. The Utah governor and governor-elect only publicly opposing but not stepping in to stop it. And then I put my picture of the Second Civil War divided states. Cute little elephants with the inverted pentagram of Lucifer. Now the USAG is leaving, putting Jeffrey A. Rosen in the position, the one who has been actively overthrowing the DOJ, as the national executive is retweeting for the arrest of his Georgia dissidents, as he's been wanting to lock up any and all of his political opponents. And so I post the picture of Donald J. Trump retweeted, Lynn Wood. I'll just read it to you. President Trump, at real Donald Trump, is a genuinely good man. He does not really like to fire people. Despite being a record number of firings under his administration. I bet he dislikes putting people in jail, especially Republicans. He gave at Brian Kemp GA and at GA Sec of State every chance to get it right. They refused. They will soon be going to jail. Yeah, I'm sure that Jeffrey Rosen will not do the president's bidding and lock up his political opponents, despite all the evidence to the contrary. The plaintiff has sounded the alarm through his attempted lawsuits about the threat to America by the defendant, though needing to make it about himself. That's how lawsuits are. I can't sue for something that doesn't affect me, because I can't receive requests for relief. I just become a whistleblower. And whistleblowers don't go through the court process. But the whistleblowing process refused to listen. So I had no choice but to go through the courts. But this court has demonstrated their co-conspiratorial role in America's coup d'etat. The defendant are using religion as a front for their criminal and seditious purposes. As more and more people die and national security is compromised, preparing for the overthrow. For the eventual overthrow. And yes, the spell check is upset that I put defendant R rather than defendant is, but the defendant is a trinity. And so it has to have the plural verb. Alrighty. So it's being sent to Judge Campbell and to Thad and Sven. Taylor Hadfield, if you didn't know. I've been doing other readings for you. Alrighty, so yeah, I'll go running and then come back and do this. Unless there's too much snow out there, but it doesn't look like the weather was indicating snow for today. Tonight, however, and into tomorrow, that's a different story.